I, Phil McNeely, President of the Duncanville Independent School District Board of Trustees, calls this special meeting of the Duncanville Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of Board of Trustees is present, and that the meeting has been duly called, and that the notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Good morning. Our mission in Duncanville is to engage, equip, and empower all our scholars to have unique potential. We'll move to opening ceremonies. Janice, my prayer. Dr. Ivy, will you lead us in a word of prayer, please?
Sure. God, we thank you for today. We thank you for the opportunity to just experience life. We ask that you continue to be with us, guide our decisions, and help us to honor you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Carla, will you lead us in the pledges?
Sure. Please stand. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you.
Now we're going to acknowledge Dr. Smith's tenure, I guess, service to our district. Probably should have done it the last meeting, but I wasn't in a real attaboy type mood, so we've moved it to today. But we're going to have each board member say something. I just want to say that from where we were when we hired Dr. Smith, with no programs, no choice programs or no anything, that he's taken us a long way. And I just want him to know that we appreciate everything he's done for Duncanville. He's been a great leader, someone that you could work with. He's really organized, put systems, and I know he's told me all that stuff, but I don't understand all of it. But I know it's moved us in the right direction, and he's leaving here, he's leaving us in a better place than when he got here. And that's what we wanted, and that's what he's done. And I can say I've been here quite a few years as a teacher and a coach. Never made teacher of the year, but I was a coach. He's just been the best superintendent I've ever worked with, period. And when I say that, I mean far above any superintendent I've ever worked with. And I wish him well in his next job. I know that they're getting somebody that's going to take them up another level. And I just wanted to tell him that I have enjoyed working with him these last few years, and that I'm going to miss him. And he's been my safety blanket sitting at these meetings, so that chair is going to be pretty empty. But I want him to know I appreciate it. Janice?
Yes, this is a very sad day. He's done a lot for the school district. I concur with Phil in that he's the best superintendent, and of course I went to school here, so it's been a lot of superintendents, and I worked here, so I've been through several superintendents, and he has been the best. He's provided a lot of guidance to us as a board, and I really appreciate all that you've done.
Well, first of all, I apologize. I'm dressed like I'm ready to go to a game. I thought this was going to be a meeting with just us, so I'm sorry about that. But then there you are. Always looks nice, always speaks well. a true Panther, the biggest cheerleader of us all. I too have actually served on the board with, you're the fourth superintendent. I'm an old girl, been here a while, and you are by far the best. And I'm mad at Fort Bend, and they will be a frequent search on my computer to see how you're doing. And because you're a friend, not just our superintendent, I will keep up with you. And if I'm over being mad, I might send you a Christmas card next year. I have been through the realm of emotions. I've been mad, sad, happy, glad, only glad for you, not us. But, I wish you well, and I think you and Tina will be sort of kind of at home again. And I know your mother is happy. So those are going to be some big shoes to fill. But we'll do it, and we will carry on, and I am not going to cry. Thank you for all you have done for us.
Dr. Smith, I concur with our president. Your stats speaks for themselves, and I took the time to put this in my phone because I could go on, and I just wanted to stay focused. But I wanted to say I came to Duncanville in 2016, your same year. I have observed many improvements under your leadership. I've been blessed to be an employee and now serve on the governance board during your tenure. I'm most grateful for the time I have served as a trustee because it provided several opportunities to interact with you in a one-on-one and in group. Thank you for taking the time to build capacity. Others, but personally for me. Thank you for acknowledging my credentials and my experience and never expecting me to shrink or minimize my professional journey. Thank you for encouraging me professionally and sharing books with me to build my capacity. Thank you for listening to me fully before you said, well, Doc, there's another way to see that. Thank you for seeing the leader in me. I have never experienced Duncanville ISD without you. And it's going to be different, and I will miss you. However, I'm grateful that 8 years of your resume has Duncanville ISD stamped on it forever. I read in the greatest book of all that if we are faithful over a few things, God will make us rulers over many, and we can all attest that you've been faithful. You were indeed faithful, and now many more will experience the gifts that you were given. I'll stop there because that's as far as I can get without my voice trembling. Dr. Smith, thank you. You are a great leader. I'm glad I had the opportunity to serve with you. And thank you for the experiences of even when we disagreed, you were never disagreeable. And so thank you. That's my personal.
This is super hard for me. I'm not a graduate of Duncanville, but I have 4 children that came through Duncanville. And only one of my children got to experience what Dr. Smith brought to Duncanville. But I have seen the changes, and I've been able to work alongside Dr. Smith and the amazing board that makes up Duncanville ISD board. Dr. Smith, you've done a lot for Duncanville. You've done a lot for us. Like personally, the time that you took to sit with us one-on-one and just let us just talk and share and just understand what was going on in the district. I'm like Carla. I've gone through a range of emotions too. I was upset with you. I was happy for you. You know, we talked. I said, you know, there's seasons in our lives. And when God says it's time to go, you go. And I support that. But it does hurt to see you leave us, especially right now. But we know that you've done your job here. And we appreciate what you've done. And there will be no other like you, I'm sure, because you have done a lot in the time that you've been here. And I just wish that every student would have had the opportunity to attend Duncanville ISD while you were in leadership, because you brought some great things here. And we have a lot of students that have benefited, their families have benefited from the work that you've done, because the board said, hey, we want this, you made it happen. You didn't just talk, you made it happen. So thank you for all that you've done. You will be missed. I'm gonna stalk you like Carla. Yeah, we appreciate you. Thank you.
Oh, my goodness, what a day. You know, Dr. Smith, when I think of trailblazer and I think of that word, I see you in the dictionary. There's no other like you, and you have set that bar for the leadership here on in this community at every campus. It's very visible. I can look at it in the audience, and I know the mentorship, the amount of passion and compassion you all have instilled from the mentoring of this man here. And so I applaud you for that. You know, our history goes way back with Joe sitting here and introducing me to you. And I sit here and I'm in awe of you. But I bless you to go forward and bless others in what you do in all of your endeavors. God bless you.
Good morning, Dr. Smith. I would like to commend you for how you have led the district. We've been through, you know, many challenges. The academics at our district have improved greatly, which have benefited the students that we're all here to serve. You've worked tirelessly, you know, and I appreciate you as a person. I am a bit disappointed that you are leaving us in the middle of a school year. You know, there is no, I just did not anticipate that. I mean, but it is, you know, your choice to make, and we're going to look ahead and identify the best superintendent that we can bring here to make sure that we have good leadership, because we've got 12,000 souls that we're responsible for, and we've got to make sure that they receive the educations that they deserve. So I wish you Godspeed in everything you do, and, you know, going forward. You know, you've left an indelible mark on this district, and so we are greatly appreciate, you know, that, and then you've worked very closely with the board hand in hand. So, you know, I appreciate that, we appreciate that. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the comments. I really appreciate that. I want to say thank you to the board. Thank you for having trust, faith, and confidence in me over these last 8 years. These last 8 years will be with me forever, and wherever I go moving forward, I'll carry that Duncanville spirit of a champion wherever I go. And I know that through the journey here with you all, I'm prepared to meet and beat whatever challenges lie ahead. And that's because Duncanville is who they are. And that's what I have gained in my journey here. To the staff, I want to say thank you. Thank you for supporting me over the course of the years that I've been here. We've had a lot of hard work and a lot of things that we've had to overcome, but you've always been a team player. You've always responded well to the challenge, and you show up and we do the work. And so I appreciate you. Thank you to the community that has been so instrumental and supportive of me during my tenure here, and the parents, and then the students. I'm going to miss the students. You know, I have personal relationships with many, many students in Duncanville, and I'm certainly going to miss Friday nights, and going to miss everything that comes with being a part of the student experience in Duncanville. And so, but the thing is, I have all the memories, so I can take those memories with me on my next step. This is not goodbye for me. I'm just moving to another location. I have friendships here that will last forever. So we'll always stay in touch and be in touch. Thank you for being on the same team, and we'll continue to be on the team. Love y'all very much. Thank you.
I just wanted to say, I know I'm an English teacher, but I was listening to a song on our way here, and the title of the song is You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet. And Dr. Smith, I want to say that to you because you have a long list of accomplishments, but I also want to say that to Duncanville. You ain't seen nothing yet. Dr. Smith has laid a foundation, but this is not a funeral. So he's going to do great things, but if we do what we're supposed to do and do what we know to do, the best is yet to come for us too. So let's all get together, remember all the stuff he says. Everything rises and falls with leadership. I don't have to be right. I just want to get it right. When he moves away, let's put all of those things into action and be the honor board that we are, the community that we are, and we ain't seen nothing yet.
This board will hire a great superintendent. So we're going to move on. We're focusing on that. I know that I'll show you how good a friend I am. Next year, I'll let you sit in our booth at Texas State or at AT&T Stadium. you know that damn Fort Bend can't beat our football team. So,
When
Just
we
like-
were on the field after we won state, I snuck up behind Dr. Smith and I whispered in his ear, "You're not going to have this much fun next year." But they might, just because I said that.
we'll let you sit in the box, but no field passes. Anybody want to say anything else? Do we have any communication? Okay, we will now move to closed session. Thank you. Okay, we're back from closed session and have reconvened in open session. No action was taken in closed session. We will now move to agenda item 6, the resignation of the superintendent. Dr. Mark Smith, Duncanville ISD Superintendent of Schools, has notified the board of his desire to resign from his contract and employment with the district. Dr. Smith has submitted in his written resignation to me as the board president, indicating that the resignation of his contract is effective January 19th, 2024 at 11:59 p.m. Do I have a motion?
Yes, sir. I reluctantly move that the Duncanville Independent School District Board of Trustees accept Dr. Mark Smith's resignation from his contract and employment as superintendent of Duncanville ISD effective on January 19, 2004 at 11:59 p.m.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any questions or comments? Okay, all in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed, same sign. Okay, resignation is accepted. We'll now move on to 6B. Having accepted the resignation of Dr. Mark Smith as superintendent of schools, the board must determine who will perform the duties of the superintendent under board policy and state law and serve in that role until we name and hire a Duncanville Independent School District's next superintendent. Do I have a motion?
Mr. President, I move that the Duncanville Independent School District Board name and appoint Ms. Andrea H. Fields, Duncanville ISD, current Chief of Staff, to serve as interim superintendent of schools for the district beginning on January 20th, 2024 at 12:01 a.m.
I second. Oh,
Okay. Motion has been made and seconded. I want to say a few things. Andrea Fields, Duncanville's current Chief of Staff, has worked in public education for almost 45 years. She's worked at Duncanville ISD since 2016 as Chief of Staff and Chief of Operations. Prior to coming to Duncanville in 2016, she worked at Longview ISD. Andrea has spent 6 years in the classroom as a special education teacher in middle school. She has served as a campus administrator for around 13 years, including a high school assistant principal, primary principal. She has worked as Director of Human Resources, Executive Director of Human Resources, Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources and Community Relations, and Deputy Superintendent for District Services. In 2 separate occasions, Mrs. Fields has served as Interim Superintendent in Longview ISD. She has a Bachelor's of Art from Louisiana Tech, a master's degree from Stephen F. Austin University, and her education certificate. I don't think that we could get a more qualified person to lead our district through this. And she has the board's total support, and I'm glad she's here to help us. So, motion's been made and seconded. Any other comments? All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Okay. Move on to 6C, supplemental duties agreement from interim superintendent of schools. Do I have a motion?
President McNeely, I move that the Duncanville Independent School District Board President Phil McNeely be given authority to negotiate, enter into, and execute a supplemental duties agreement for Andrea H. Fields as the interim superintendent of schools for the district. It will be consistent with the terms discussed in closed session, and that such agreement be posted on the district's website following its execution.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Anything else? Okay, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Mrs. Fields. Okay, we'll move on to, now we move on to agenda item 7, presentation and discussion of process, scope, and timeline for superintendent search. Okay, this is David Thompson from Thompson and Horton, and Dr. Mike Moses, who will present and discuss a proposed process of scope and timeline for the district superintendent. We've asked them to come join us today to enlighten us and give us the information. So you're up.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. It's good to be with you this morning, and we very much appreciate the opportunity to spend a little time with you. I'd like to start by adding our congratulations to Dr. Smith, and also recognize both the board, Dr. Smith, and your staff for the outstanding work you've done together for a number of years. Dr. Moses and I have followed his career, both here in Duncanville and previously. In fact, Dr. Smith and I were conversing earlier and remembering that a number of years ago when he was working on his doctorate at the University of Houston, I happened to be his professor in the law and education course that he took, and I will report to the board he did very well. So we've known him for a long time, and we know how much you appreciate the work he's done here. This certainly is a bittersweet occasion, but I will say that following Dr. Smith will be both a challenge and an opportunity. It will be a challenge because of the high level of performance that has been established, the high expectations that are here in this community in all areas, academically, extracurriculars, et cetera. But it will also be an opportunity because a foundation has been set. I think there was a reference earlier to you ain't seen nothing yet. Your programs are in outstanding shape. You've passed a bond, you've passed a VATRE, and you're poised for success. I will say that, and Dr. Moses and I both believe that the board will have an opportunity to look at some very outstanding candidates to carry on the work that you're already doing here in the district. Just a little bit of background. I'm an attorney in private practice. Our law firm, Thompson and Horton, we primarily represent school districts, community colleges, four-year colleges all across Texas, and even at the higher ed level nationally. And my partner, Katie Long, you know well, and we do appreciate and we're honored very much to serve the district from time to time. Dr. Moses and I are longtime personal friends, and he served as Commissioner of Education under Governor George W. Bush. And one thing Mike won't tell you, I will. Texas Monthly described him as the best appointment that Governor Bush made during his service. But when Mike left the commissionership, he and I had talked about ways that we might be able to work together to help districts all across Texas. And so we begin working with a select number of districts each year to help boards as they go through superintendent search processes. We believe leadership matters. And so working with boards to navigate this process, we thought would be important. And in the last 23 years, Dr. Moses and I have worked with approximately 200 boards all across the state of Texas. Most recently, just wrapped up searches with Cypress Fairbanks ISD, third largest district in Texas, San Angelo ISD, Montgomery ISD, and we currently are working with a few other select boards around the state. This isn't our full-time undertaking. I'm an attorney in private practice. Dr. Moses has a number of other obligations, so we really try to focus and make sure that we tailor searches to meet the needs of each board that we're working with. One thing we want to say at the outset that we've always said to every board, this is your search. It's not our search, it's your search. Our role is to facilitate, put the board in a great position to go through an outstanding process, ultimately have the opportunity to interview, consider, and make a great selection for the district. So that's the way we've always approached it. Mike's going to come and say a little bit more in detail. One thing I want to say, we've followed Duncanville ISD for many years, known your prior superintendents going back many decades, but I have a little personal connection here. Both of our daughters are public school teachers here in the Metroplex. One of our daughters is in Richardson ISD. Our other daughter is a teacher in Irving ISD. But our daughter, who is a teacher in Richardson ISD, actually did her student teaching in Duncanville ISD at Byrd Junior High. So I was actually following y'all pretty closely during that period of time. And I will tell you, she had a great experience here. It really got her started well in her career. Mike, do you want to come and introduce yourself and say just a little bit about your background? And then Mr. President, we have a PowerPoint. We can go through that and kind of what we want to give the board a sense of. We know how important a decision this is for a board. So we just want to give you a sense of what a good flow, what a well-organized search would look like over a period of time, how to keep the board informed and engaged as you move through the different steps of the process. We can provide that information, run through the PowerPoint. We do want to make this conversational and as informal as possible. We don't want to just talk at you. So if you have questions or comments or things that you want to discuss at any point, Mr. President, we want to be responsive to your concerns and priorities and also respectful of your time. So, Mike, you want to come and say a few words about your background?
Thank you. I assume this is our clicker for our PowerPoint right here. Yeah.
Assuming so.
Mr. President, members, good morning. It's very nice to be in Duncanville again. And I promise you we're not going to filibuster this today. We're going to give you some information and let your questions guide where we need to go. As David said, we've been doing this for a while. I've been very blessed to have been a teacher and a principal and a school superintendent in 4 Texas school districts, including Lubbock and Dallas ISD, and was the Commissioner of Education. Also spent some time as Deputy Chancellor at Texas Tech University. A little nostalgic for me whenever I come back to Duncanville because these are my roots. Dr. Hugh Bird was the superintendent of schools here and hired my wife and then decided to hire me. And I don't think I was his first choice. I think she was his first choice, and he said something like, we're going to hire Debbie and we're going to find a place for you if we can. But I was very blessed to get to teach and begin my teaching and brief coaching career at Bird Junior High. And so I have great fondness for Duncanville and Duncanville ISD. And I'm a Panther when game day comes, and was very pleased about and have been very pleased about to see the success and pleased about this year's outcome, as I'm sure all of you have been. Let's see if I can figure out how this rolls here. I think you all know this is probably, you've already said that it's a sad day. Partings are hard. But I also always ask boards, how many of you want a superintendent that nobody else wants? We would all say, no, well. So the fact is, Mark, you've helped him, you've supported him, and at the same time, he's delivered performance, and so opportunity came knocking for him. And there's also an opportunity here for you. This big undertaking, 1,200 districts or so, we turn over about 15% of the superintendents a year, about 125 a year. We may have 175 to 70. Since COVID, a lot of people have retired. Teachers retiring, many, and all know about the teacher availability issue. Principals retire, and consequently superintendents retire. Average tenure 5 to 6 years, and we think it's important sometimes to have yourselves be represented to the profession, to outstanding professionals, and David and I like to think that we can do that, and we've been fortunate enough to assist a lot of districts. We don't try to do 40 or 50 of these a year. We do probably more like 8 a year, something like that, 4 to 5 maybe a semester. We customize the search. We don't have a portal. We don't say go apply for this job, therefore you're applying for 30 other jobs. You apply for the Duncanville Independent School District Superintendency. It's customized, and of course because of David and your outstanding legal counsel here, we have the ability to help you from a legal standpoint. We also are fortunate to have a pretty nice network of trusted professionals and school executives that we can talk with. We haven't ever had a failed search, and I will promise you, if we were fortunate enough to be asked to help you, we're not going to have a failed search here. That will not happen. We have references that we think you would recognize, and people that we have worked with that we're very proud of and proud to have represented. As David said, we work for you. We don't represent candidates, we represent the board. If we find something is lacking in a candidate, we tell you. If there is a problem with a candidacy, we tell you. We don't leave you in the dark about what's happening with regard to people that might aspire to this position. It is your search. First thing we do if we're asked to help you, we come and meet with you to develop a timeline. And the timeline is pretty important. As David often says, it's a tool, not a master, but it gives you some direction and we'll say gives discipline to the search. We prepared a little note suggested. We just prepare these just to get an idea of where you may want to go, what needs to happen. I always begin with the end in mind. If you look, we're assuming you want someone to be here by the beginning of end of this spring, beginning of the summer, June 1st, July 1st. So we back up and we had to also make some assumptions. Do you want the search to be completed before your school board election? I think you have a school board election in May. I'm not sure, but if you do, the question is, do you want it? But if you do, and you want to approve a contract before then that kind of drives the calendar. If you look back at April 29th to approve a contract, 21 days have to lapse between the time that you name a loan finalist and have a contract, so that gets you back to April the 8th that you would identify a loan finalist. Then what has to happen before then? Well, you can kind of see, we would propose, of course, to come back and meet with you to further establish the profile and the guidelines for the search. But we would also propose to be here February the 22nd to meet with members of your community that you would identify. And we have a little process that we work with you on to help identify who you'd like for us to meet with. It's usually somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 people, 60, 65 people. And we also have a little survey that if you want to put that up on the website so people in your community can participate and offer their input, we have a way for you to do that. Our deadline would need to be about March 1st, which leaves the job open about 45 days. We would be here to meet with you on March 6th. And that's a lengthy meeting. That's usually a 3-hour meeting or so because we show you the names of every single person that establishes a candidacy for the position. We don't just bring you our favorites. We don't bring you our 6 or our 5. We let you see a spreadsheet that has everybody's name, position, and their current district. But that meeting takes some time. And once we've done that, then we suggest a first round of interviews. Tentatively, again, these are suggestions. That week after your spring break would be a first round of interviews, usually 6 people, usually about 2-hour interviews. We have questions that we will furnish for you. You can use them or throw them away. They're pretty good battery, though, pretty good battery of examination questions about school finance, school administration, board superintendent relationships, philosophy of education. It's pretty deep, and it gives you at least a place to start in terms of talking with candidates. After the first round, we recommend a second round of interviews. Usually bring 2 people back, and bring them back usually with a spouse for a dinner, say an hour, hour and a half dinner, and then excuse the spouse and spend another 2 hours with the candidates. And then from there, you identify usually who would we like to continue to try to see if we can reach an agreement with. We don't eliminate anyone because we're never sure until we know whether we can come to a contractual agreement with someone to come. We do that during the week of April 1st through the 5th. We finalize our background checks. Background checks include a criminal background check that the district has to do that we assist in, financial background check, and in these days we do a social media background check. We take a look at Facebook and Twitter to make sure that no one has done anything that would embarrass the board or embarrass themselves. So we're pretty thorough in that. Any candidate you decide to name as loan finalist, we want them to be pretty pristine. Someone you would be proud to present to your community as a loan finalist. So that gets us then to the identification of the loan finalist. So that's just an idea of how a calendar might flow. Again, if you ask us to be of assistance, then we'd start advertising pretty quickly. And we advertise with TexasISD.com and the Texas Association of School Administrators Career Link. People who follow professional opportunities like superintendencies, that's where they go. Some people say, well, should we advertise nationally? You can do that. It's a little more costly. These advertisements run probably $200. Those at the national level probably run more like $2,500. And the thing about it is people who are out of state and who may be interested in looking, they're going to look at TexasISD.com and the Texas Association of School Administrators anyway. Out-of-state candidates, the question might be, do you know any? Yes, we know some. We know some that have left Texas and gone out of state and discovered the error of their ways and want to come back. But we don't, most of your candidates will come from Texas. There's no question about it. But there could be some people that would identify from out of state. Any event, we invite people, and usually we, in a job like this, I would suspect we would invite somewhere around 40, 50, 60 people that would probably have the prerequisite skills to be able to do this in a district like Duncanville. So that's a little bit about the timeline. I'm going to keep moving. Just to give you, I've already told you about the advertising. There's your national advertising if you would had any interest in doing that. Recruiting, we encourage you to allow us to handle communication. There'll come a time when that will shift to you, but during the search, we encourage you to refer referrals to us. Now, if you have people that you know that you would like to nominate, you've heard it TASA, TASB, or you've heard speak, or you know that you want to be sure to get a chance to be recruited and get a letter of invitation, if you give us those names, then we will certainly make sure that happens. We think we have, again, a pretty good network, but we're always anxious to learn more about people and what their potential might be. We don't recruit people who are trying to get away from where they are now. The person you want to succeed, Mark, is someone who's doing a great job where they are now. Someone who has a multi-year contract. Their board loves them like you love Mark. Their board will cry when they leave. Someone that, and if it's a sitting superintendent. Now, obviously, you could get deputy superintendents and assistant superintendents and so forth that may apply, and that's great. We welcome those. But if they are someone who is eminently successful where they are now, that's where you want to be looking, and that's where we look. We do welcome all candidates. We don't tell anybody you shouldn't apply. We tell everybody you should apply. We recruit men, women, people of all ethnicities, and we encourage you when you get ready to interview, don't interview 5 or 6 people that all look alike. And by that I mean this. Don't interview people who are all at the same stage of their career. Interview some people who are experienced, maybe have a little shorter runway, some people who are in the power stroke of their career, and interview some rising stars. Interview, a couple of people who may really come and stay and contribute, like Mark has for 8, 10 years, and really make a difference in your district. So we encourage you to look at a diverse pool, and we will try to furnish that for you. We do not discourage non-traditional candidates. Usually there will be some that will say they're not educators, but they'd like to apply. We say, fine, encourage you to do that. Obviously, you know the challenges that go with that. We tell people that, education is like banking and real estate and other industries. It has some special skills that are required. I think I've already talked to you about the invitations and the nominations and so forth. Community engagement, again, David and I, if you ask us to, we will engage your community through focus groups. What we normally do is bring a list that we ask you to nominate a parent, a non-parent taxpayer, a teacher, a principal, a student, a business person, an elected official. But if each one of you nominate 9 people, and we give you a list to nominate from, then we have 63 people. And then we try to break those up into groups of about 15 and meet with them, and we have a little guided conversation that we like to go through with them to learn about what their hopes, aspirations, and dreams are for the school district and what they hope the board will consider. We do not entrust them with the decision. We tell the board the decision, we tell the focus groups the decision belongs to the board, but the board wants input, and the board welcomes people to give input. So that's a little bit about community engagement. I think I've already kind of given you that we can put that up on the website for people to participate if they would like to. We conduct these searches with confidentiality. Why? Why is that important? Well, it's important because if I'm a sitting superintendent, which I was blessed to be, and I have a great board and a great community and a multi-year contract, and my spouse is happy, and we like our church, and we like our doctor, and we like everything in our community, and somebody approaches me about a professional opportunity, I don't want to mess up what I have, but I don't want to be, I want to be able to at least consider it. So confidentiality is important. We ask for a letter of interest and a current, complete professional resume. And we usually get some very, very good ones. At the conclusion of the deadline, then as we said, we meet with you and look at all the people who have applied. And that's the lengthy meeting that I talked about that we proposed on March the 6th. We share every name with you. We work with you to get the number down to a group you can work with. We usually say 5, 6, or 7. We will have talked with references, but we talk to people that aren't on the reference list. David and I have been in the business for a while. We're on a mission to eat at every Whataburger in Texas, and we've done pretty well. But we know a lot of school people, and we know a lot of school board members, and service center directors, and university people. So people say, well, did you talk to anybody besides the references they listed? In all cases, yes. And sometimes, as I said, we represent you. We don't represent the candidate. If we know that someone's had a hard time getting their contract renewed, we're not going to be bringing that name forward to you. So we want this to be a successful search because it matters to you, but it also matters to David and I in the work that we do. I think I've already told you about 2 rounds of interviews. We would take care of the scheduling. We just ask you to honor the confidentiality. We'll handle all the communications. We'll thank the people that applied. We'll thank the ones that are selected. We want the people that you don't select to be your cheerleaders when the search is over. Say, well, I didn't get the job, but I was treated professionally and I was treated fairly and honorably. And that's, I think that's important to all of us. I've already mentioned the background checks. If you want to do a site visit, we will facilitate that. We don't see many site visits done anymore. Usually the internet takes care of that. Also, though, we do furnish you names of people like school board members with cell numbers, with teachers or principals, or a mayor or a city manager, an opinion leader, someone you might want to talk to, or maybe 2 or 3 of you may want to make calls, and we'll help facilitate talking to some people in the candidates community if you deem that to be helpful. And I frankly encourage you to do that. I would prefer, in fact, that you hear what David and I hear. If you want help in contract development, obviously you have counsel, and David is also very familiar with your counsel, so part of our fee includes contract development, and David assists in that since he's the attorney in the group and you would like that. So that's included in our proposal. There's you've seen our proposal. We do not send invoices to you during the search. We don't nickel and dime you. We send you one invoice at the end if you're happy. If you're happy and the process has suited you and you're happy with your selection, then we'll send you an invoice. Expenses are minimal usually. I live in Dallas. I still live in the Dallas Independent School District. I'm about 23 miles from here. So if we need to talk, I can talk. We won't have many. David stays in my home sometime, so we're not going to have a lot of expenses for David and I. Probably your expenses would be your candidates, and that depends on where you ask people to come from. Usually in Texas, the protocol for school boards is to pay expenses within reason to come. Usually most candidates will drive in and out the same day. They try to get, if they're getting away from work, they try to get in, get out, go back to work. So expenses are not going to be great, but there are some expenses that should be honored. We have a guarantee that says if you had a search and someone came and after 1 year it didn't work out, we would do a search for free. If they say 2 years it didn't work out, we do one for half price. How many times have we had that happen? 0. But we're not going to ever say it couldn't happen, but our goal is to make sure that it is a good fit, that you feel good, the candidate feels good, and that you're set for a lot of success. David and I always say that strong school boards want strong superintendents, and strong superintendents want strong school boards. It works well that way. Mr. Chairman, that's, David, I don't know if I left off anything you want to add to it, but I hope we didn't filibuster that too much, but we tried to just take you through the highlights. Anything you want to add?
Mike, I think you've covered it. Mr. President, members, we're happy to answer any questions you might have. Again, our goal is always, we know how important this process and decision is for a board. If you get this decision right, it's easier to get a whole lot of other decisions right. And so that's our goal, is to help you be in a position to make a great choice for your district and your community. So again, as Mike explained, our approach is to make sure you have a good sense of the overall process, the flow, and the key dates from beginning to end, and that the board has appropriate involvement and that you are prepared at every stage of the search as you get ready to move to the next step, that you're ready for it. Again, we appreciate you, and we'll be happy to respond to any questions, or if there's anything on your mind that we didn't cover, we'll be happy to provide any additional information.
I have a question. Thank you for the presentation. Mr. Thompson, how often would you be communicating with the board?
We will communicate with the board as needed. We usually communicate typically through the board presidents, the most common way, just to make sure that there's that consistent conduit. But as Mike said, we have a few dates on the calendar when we will be here for meetings with the full board, for meetings. But during the course of the search, we communicate on a regular basis as needed. If you need somebody to come to a board meeting and give a quick update, Mike's here. If the board president wants to call and just check in every week or every couple of weeks and say, how are we doing? How are applications coming along? That's pretty typical and pretty standard. So, yeah.
We will be back if you decide that we can be of help to you. We'll set up a meeting to come back fairly quickly, we hope, to basically approve the timeline, approve some other steps, and get some information from you. Probably have a brief executive session if we could, and then we would be back that February, I think it was the 22nd date, and that day, after we get through hearing the input from the community, we'd like to have a meeting with all of you and give you some feedback of what we've heard that day. And then there's also a meeting scheduled March 6th, which would be, as I said, a pretty extensive meeting to look at candidate files and so forth. Beyond that, if the president says we need to have a visit, then I'm close by, happy to do that. But does that help, I hope?
It does. Thank you. Thank you very much.
One thing I will add that, Mike, I don't remember if you touched on it, Mike, we have had a wide diversity, obviously doing a couple hundred searches over a 23-year period. We've had districts that have ultimately made a decision to hire a person external to the district. We've had districts that have ultimately decided to hire a person who's already present in the district. And so we've worked through all of those different scenarios at one time or another. And I think we've developed some processes to handle them very appropriately. One, so that you always treat people the way you would want to be treated, that we treat people professionally, whether they're external to the district or internal. And two, that we don't discourage that we don't discourage a great candidate from looking at the opportunity. So I think we've dealt with all of the different combinations that may come up during a search at one time or another.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Mr. President, we don't take anything for granted. We appreciate your giving us the opportunity to just come and talk with you. And as Mike said, if you do give us the privilege to work with you, we will absolutely commit our best efforts to make sure that the board has an outstanding group of candidates to consider, because there are going to be some big shoes to fill.
If you don't, I'm still pulling for.
Yeah. I used to tell people when we were doing searches that part of our guarantee is that if you don't find somebody you like better, Mike will take the job. But Debbie told me I had to quit saying that, so I don't say that anymore, so thank you.
We appreciate you coming. Thank you. And you will, if we hire you, you'll be hearing from, you'll get sick of me. Now we'll move into closed session under Texas Government Code Sections 551.071 and 551.074 to discuss and receive legal advice regarding superintendent's positions, superintendent search, and superintendent search consultants. Katie, I read all the numbers. We're back from closed session. We vote on the action. Do I have a motion?
President McNeely, I move that the Duncanville ISD, Duncanville Independent School District Board President McNeely retain and execute any necessary agreement with David Thompson of Thompson and Horton LLP and Mike Moses to serve as superintendent search consultants for the district.
Second.
Okay, motion been made and seconded. Any questions, comments? All in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Nothing left to do. Let's go home.